All right, good morning, all. I can see that my microphone is working today. Thanks for the reminder there, KPM. Yeah, bad day yesterday. I definitely, two things went wrong yesterday. One is I forgot to turn the mic on at all. I run my vocals through a little preprocessor to make them sound a little beefier coming through the mic. And I didn't have that turned on. I also had the wrong microphone. I had my room mic turned on instead of my lapel mic. So comedy of errors yesterday, and the audio quality was bad. So fixed that for today. Okay, so today, by the way, welcome, Coffee and Craps. Duracell, I'm so glad you're here every morning. You just make my day every day when you come in and say hi. Jeff mentioned you yesterday on his show on Mid-Atlantic Craps, and it's so true how meaningful it is for us as content providers to show up, for me, every morning and see familiar faces every day that are kind of tuning in to hear what you have to say. It's such a boost. It's really, really cool. Today, I want to talk about a number of things before I get into the table. So one is I want to piggyback on something that Jeff at Mid-Atlantic said yesterday in his show. He was giving his kind of year preview, and I'll do a little bit of that today as well. I think it's important that we check in every so often and let you know what's happening. But Jeff made mention of the YouTube comments, and I want to jump on that train because, first of all, I love the comments, right? When I get comments, you guys know me, I respond to every single comment. Like all day long during my workday, I respond to comments. I think they're fantastic to see and hear. But the problem is YouTube, for some reason, doesn't always show the comments. I don't know what's going on. I know that Greg at 555 Craps had this major problem with his comments. I can't comment on his channel. When I write a comment on any one of Greg's videos, they just go off into space. Nobody can see him. He can't see him. He gets no emails. I've noticed in the last probably, 2 weeks or so, that the number of comments I get on my videos is way, way, way down. Now, that may just be that I'm covering the content so perfectly, there's nothing else for you to comment on. Probably not the case. I suspect that something's going on where we're losing comments. I don't know what's going on, if it's YouTube filtering them out. I know there, as a user, you all can click the three dots next to a comment and say report, which would delete somebody else's comment and report it to YouTube as spam. That could be going on as well. We could be all falling victim to whatever you want to call it, a troll or something like that. So just know that if you're sending comments and I'm not replying to them, look at the video where you commented and see if your comment actually showed up. Because YouTube very well could be getting rid of the comments. And if that's the case, I apologize on their behalf. I don't know what's going on. I put an email out as well to see what the hell's going on there. But the fact that I can't comment on many others' videos is disturbing. And the fact that I'm seeing less comments on my videos, also disturbing. So we're going to take a look and see, between me and Greg and Jeff, we're all running to YouTube to see, kind of what the heck is going on here. So hopefully we'll have an answer, but keep the comments coming. You can always email me too. It's john@procraps.net. I'm happy to answer emails as well. So just kind of know that comments are super, super, super meaningful to all of us as providers. And if we're not getting to you, we may not be getting them, and there's something weird going on. So sorry about that in advance, but keep them coming. We love it, right? It's the engagement of these channels. And Jeff said this perfectly yesterday. I do this because I love doing it, right? I'm a talker, I'm a teacher by nature. So this is just kind of in my wheelhouse anyway, and I love craps. But frankly, having the camaraderie and the group think that we have here is great. I see that G-Dub's here, Brian from Hawaii is here, old number 7's here. You guys are, friends now. You know what I mean? Rick, good morning, Rick. You all are friends now, and it's good to hang out. And I think I do this every day, and it's like, hey, let me find a way to make an hour worthwhile for you every morning. So I love doing it. With that said, I want to make a quick announcement here. The dice control series, everybody's asking me, when are you putting out the next dice control series video? It's done. The video is filmed. It's ready to go. I've got two things. Hey, Mike. Good morning, Mike. Good morning, Gary. Yeah, HCS is, I'm just going to put you out here because I want to call this out because Brian is super. I love Brian. Brian is so consistent. His videos are fan-frigging-tastic. I know he's working on a new one too. And Brian's strategies are great too. Brian has got this great mind for strategy building, which is awesome. I'm glad that you recognize that. The dice control series is done, or not done. The next video is done. I've got it in the hopper. I'm waiting to release it on a couple of things. One is going to be timing. I think it's important that we get it timed right. I'm going to try and do a live episode tonight, a Cocktails and Craps episode, where I work through the strategy I'm going to play today. I'm going to work through it some tonight live. And I don't want to release that video the same day I'm doing 2 videos that are live. But also that video, I've got clips from 2 other YouTubers in that video that are doing slow motion dice control stuff. I don't have their explicit permission to use the video clips that I'm using, so I'm waiting to get permission from them or to hear back from YouTube whether I'm allowed to use them or not. I think you're allowed to use other people's clips in your YouTube videos. I'm 90% sure of it because they're all public domain. But I want to make sure before I release the video that I'm actually allowed to release that part of the video. So that's under review. It may take a few days to get that, but I've got in the hopper. If you want to see, I'm going to flip here. I'll give you a kind of a quick preview as to what I've done in this video. So let me click over to a different screen here, and I'm going to show you 2 video clips of what's coming in that series that'll hopefully get you excited about seeing it. So let me go ahead and click on this one here. Next up is going to be felt. So what I'm going to do here is take out my entire layout. We're going to remove the vinyl, the cork, and put a layer of felt in. Now this felt that I've got, it's a little thicker than that cork was. It's actually has an old Vegas feel to it. The older casinos where they would have used newsprint underneath their layout, or maybe have layouts on top of layout on top of layout versus swapping things out, this laying on top. So there's one clip of it. And you'll see that what I did there, I changed out, my table's modular, right? If you watch my video where I built my table, I built it so that a couple things. One, I could change out the underlayment like I just did. And I can change the end where I throw to. So I can throw to either a bouncy end or a hard end. And in this dice control video, I actually change my surface out 4 times. I go from hard surface table to cork to felt to neoprene and back to hard surface. So you'll watch me change the table out like that 4 times. And I do a few just drops and bounces, and I do some controlled throwing. And I actually have some slow motion that looks like this. Okay, again, another good looking shot from the overhead, hits the back wall and dies almost instantly. They're about 4 inches apart, about 2 inches off the back wall. It's a beautiful shot from all intents and purposes. Let's take a look at the slow-mo and how they reacted under the microscope. Another underhand toss here. They actually crossed over. Do you see that? They landed, both of them landed on their inside points, and they crossed over in the air. I got an on-axis result, right? You would say to yourself as a controller, good shot, 3-2, they're both on. So that's what's coming. That video is about 45 minutes of that. It's 45 minutes of me throwing dice and commenting on my results. It's pretty interesting actually to watch how bad of a shooter I actually am. I think I thought it was pretty good. Like the shots look good from the overhead, but man, they are ugly under the microscope when you see them in slow-mo. So it's a good 45 minutes of me breaking things down like that. Finally, the people who think dice control is BS get their say, right? I've been talking so far pro dice control, like why. Now we look at how, and it's not a pretty picture. So that's coming. That video, the whole thing is in the hopper. Like I said, I'm just waiting for permission to release it and get the timing of that right. So Scott, thank you for that. Let me tell you how hard that was. I had an overhead, my overhead camera that you see behind me, filming straight down on the table. That's how I got the first shot. And then I had my iPad kind of where it is on the end. If you can see the iPad over here, hanging over top of the landing zone on 240 frames per second slow-mo. My iPhone at the end of the table where the throwing station is over here, that thing films at 60 frames per second slow-mo. So what I had to do was take all 3 of those videos and sort of merge them and almost frame by frame, put them into iMovie so that you could see the left side and the back wall at the same time, the dice hitting and rolling at the same time. It was really a nightmare. It took me a week to get those shots right. So hopefully the messaging is clear when you see it all put together. And again, full disclosure, I'm not a great shooter. You'll see that I have shots that I think look really, really solid. Under slow-mo, they're awful. Spoiler alert, when I looked at perfection, guys who actually can do this perfectly under slow motion, their shots look like mine do. It's actually really fascinating. So that's coming. That video is coming. Hopefully I can get that video out this week. I would love to. Just waiting on permission there. And a quick preview as to what's coming up on this show for the next couple of weeks. We're finishing up this week's theme as kind of mental toughness. So I'm going through keeping it simple, keeping your strategies simple and repeatable. Yesterday we talked about goal setting and sticking to your goals and hitting your goals and having the mental toughness to get out when you hit goal, or take your goal and run with it as it allows to. Today we're going to talk about practice. And I didn't have this planned, but again, watching Mid-Atlantic Crap's video yesterday, a point came up in his video that he said a subscriber had said to him, and I've said this before, but I've never made a point to really talk through it with you, which is when you practice at the table, and for all of us, when we're actually for the YouTubers in the audience, when we're filming videos, one thing we sometimes get is a little bit lazy with how we pay ourselves. And I think it's really important to pay yourself as you would get paid at the casino. And I'll make this point in a minute. You've got to see your money go away. You can't just, take money from your rack and pay the bank. You've got to actually pay the bet. So that's a part of it today. We're going to do that here. So today's going to be about practicing. And I want to talk about how I practice, the things that I look at when I practice, and what I'm doing to get myself ready to play. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about playing at the casino with friends. And, I think there's a group of folks from Craps Nation that are in Vegas right now playing together. There was a group a month ago that played together. I've done it a few times now, and the mentality at the casino when you're playing with friends is different than when you're playing by yourself. So that's tomorrow's show. And maybe on Friday, I have a surprise. I think Friday, what I might do is kind of bring this whole week together, and I'm going to run Brian's new strategy on Friday. So I've been practicing it a little bit, but Friday, I'm going to try and put it all together. We're going to try and do a little bit of I don't want to say critique of the strategy, but I want to play it out, talk through it, and I'm going to practice it as though I was going to play it. And that's the plan for Friday's show. And I'm also recording the next podcast, which gets released over the weekend. The next podcast comes out on the 15th. So lots of things happening. We also mentioned the Crapsathon. I talked about this yesterday. 24 hours of this channel going live. I'm going to be Jerry Lewis, but in Craps Land. I've got about 10 channels that are in partnership with me that are going to work this thing live with me. It's going to be fantastic. I need to fill 24 hours with content. So anything you want to see during the 24 hours that I'm going to be broadcasting live, email me, john@procraps.net. Drop me an email. Let me know what you want to see me do, or who do you want me to talk to, or what do you want me to talk about. I have 24 straight hours of that. So let me know what you want. G-Dub, thanks for stopping by. I'll see you later. Thanks all. So let me know what you want to hear. I'm into it. The Crapsathon is really, it's for charity, right? So I'm just going to put my sleep deprivation skills to the test here. Whatever you want to see, we will 100% be doing it. Brian, you can be assured that I will have a whole hour where I'm running all the HCS strategies back to back to back, right? I think your stuff is some of the best out there. I'll probably do like an HCS hour and just run your strategy one to the last one and just run them all kind of, a tutorial on how to play the Hawaii way. So that'll be kind of fun actually before you and I talk. And Brian's going to be on the show, but you're going to join me. I know at some point during that 24 hours, I'm going to have you on the show, and maybe some of the team as well. So we're going to do something really cool. I'm so excited about this thing. Anyway, that's kind of a look at where we are, where we're headed today. Talking about practice for sure. And I made a small change, by the way. I'll show you what I did. I changed the angle of my table just a bit. You'll see that I'm zoomed in from the front now. My camera, I actually moved the camera. If you can see behind me here, the camera now is way lower and it's angled toward the front. So you're going to get a different view of the betting surface. I think it'll be a little bit more, easier to read. So when I get in here today and practice, I still have the end table on the right-hand side there, where you can see the landing zone. But I think the zoom in of and the angle of the betting surface might make it easier for us to see. So comments and feedback, if you would. If you like this newer style, I'll keep it that way. The camera's actually more in my way now, unfortunately. So I keep hitting my head on it. So we'll see if my head gets in the way. We may have to switch back to the old one. But anyway, new stuff there. Rick, thanks for joining in. I'll see you later. I'll put your comment so this makes sense here. Rick is taking off. Thanks for jumping in and joining for sure. And Brian, I'm honored to have you supporting the fundraiser. It's going to be fantastic. I think it's going to be so much fun to do this. So, yeah, right, Alan. You know what? Old PS, if I could have put the clip of Iverson up here without having a copyright strike on YouTube, I would have totally done that. I actually lived in Philly when that happened, and that was on like the local news like 24/7. It was hysterical over there. So, and I'll just address your comment here, PJ. I have a couple comments to address before I start pricing. The rebound for the diamonds is damning. It is, dude. It is. I use the word car wreck in my video on DC. You can control the dice pretty good. You'll see that even me, right, can control the dice out of my hands to the surface pretty well, but it's a car accident from the time they hit the table, hit the diamonds, and then come back down again. It's definitely a challenge, and I will say that challenge is the word to use. I think it's challenging to get them to do what you want, and you'll see in slow motion the breakdowns that I do. Just it's a rough watch if you're a dice controller. But there's nuance to that. So anyway, we'll see that. And Gary here is talking about the chopper, so I have to put this up here. You add consistent six plus average, 5s on top. That's really good. I actually do hit the aces and 12s with the chopper quite a bit. For whatever reason, it results for me, and I'm averaging usually about 9 to 10 with a chopper. It's, I'm not perfect with it yet, but for me consistently, if I can get to anything over 6 on a consistent basis, then I'm really happy about it. So with that said, let's sit to the table here. And I'm going to run for you a strategy. And this is one that I'm going to probably try and monkey with tonight. If I go live tonight with the cocktails and craps, what I'm going to try and do is something like this. And I've been working on the Iron Cross. I know you guys are going to everybody's tuning out right now. God, he's talking about the Iron Cross. I think we can all agree the Iron Cross kind of sucks. But I keep thinking that there's a way to get this thing right. And the way that I think I can get this thing right is to treat let me get the light on here, is to treat the box numbers and the field as two separate entities. I think the problem with the Iron Cross is that people do this, and I'm going to set it up in a pretty typical way where you've got quarter units on the 5, 6, and 8, and I would say $10 in the field, right? That's the right ratio. Because what happens here is these would pay you a quarter, or they pay $35. You'd lose the 10, replace the 10, rack a quarter, right? That's a good kind of rhythm. I think that's the right ratio to play this in. If you go higher, like 15 in the field, then you're bleeding money. The higher you go in the field, you bleed money from the top numbers. I would say this. I think if you look at the Iron Cross as two completely separate strategies, and what I mean by that is, let's take what I said yesterday. And yesterday I was doing the pineapple press, right? If you did that in reverse and you said, let's take the top numbers and say when these things hit, okay, 25, 35. And actually I'll pay the 25 in reds, right? Why not go and grab the 4 and the 10 on your first one? And on the second hit, let's say we get a second hit, okay? There's 35. Why not then grab a quarter on the 9, and so take the 10, and now you've got the coverage. So pineapple press from the outside in. The third hit, $35. Maybe then we take that, we'll take the nickels here again, and maybe we'll take that and we'll press up the 6 and the 8 both. We'll drop a little bit of cash here and go to 18 and add 18 to each one of them. Okay, we'll add them up and go to 40, 49 each, or 48 each, right? Do something like that. Why not do that? Press them in from the outside on just the top layer, and then on the fourth hit, do what the pineapple press does, pull it all down and go to 64 across. And treat the top section all on its own. Just have it do its thing, right? Fill across, take 3 hits, pull it down to table minimum. That way you've got those bets paid for and they're covered, then you can press them up. Meanwhile, the field, treat it as a separate thing and have 2 different bankrolls going. So this is what I'm thinking, is having 2 different bankrolls going, one for the field, one for the box numbers, and manage them separately. Now that goes against what I said on Monday, which is to have a simple system, right? It goes against the keeping it simple, stupid idea, doesn't it? But I think with a strategy like this, if you've practiced it well and you're ready to play it the way that you practice it, I think in that case, you're going to be okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set it up like so. We're going to set it up and say, well, we need 85 bucks up top, 25 on the 5, 30 on the 6 and 8, that's $85. So what I need is $850 to do that 10 times, all right? And again, you want to play this thing for 10 shooters if you can. So $850 for that. And what I would do is when I buy in at the casino, and here's again part of the practice, is when I buy in and I get my money, we're going to go ahead and split our rack up right away so that we can do this and be ready to go each time. So we're going to get, I've got to kind of get this laid out. There's 4. I may need more greens. There's 700, and we'll do the rest in reds. So when the 850 comes to my rack for that part of it, the first thing I'm going to do, obviously, I'll take the showcase bets down so we can get this right here. When this gets brought to me and it comes to the rack, I've got to do my first thing is split it up. So part of my practice, actually, believe it or not, is I practice getting my rack set. And you know, I'll put this in the middle so you can see it. You all know what a psychopath I am with getting my rack right. Okay, and I think this is a critical part of play. So with my lammers that I bring, whether they're the clears or what I've started to use recently, because I bought a bunch of them, is I bought these little ones, right? The bailes. I've got the smaller kind now that have the logo on them. And I bring those with me and I put them in the rack to start. And then I start moving my money around. There's 1, 3 greens and 2 reds. That gets me up 1 time. 3 greens and 2 reds, that's 2. And I literally practice doing this as quickly as I can. And I'm sorry if my head's in the way here, but I do this so that I can make sure when I'm playing at the table, I'm not fumbling around in my rack to make my bets. I think if I'm fumbling in my rack to make bets, that's going to be a huge problem. So we're almost here, 3 and 2. There's 3 and 2. There's 3 and 2. All right, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we're a little bit light here. I must not have bought in. Oh, I didn't buy in for enough money. So hold on. There's 3 and 2. There's my last one. So I get my rack set and I work that. I actually, believe it or not, work where I put money in front of me. I bring all the money into the rack and then I dicker around with getting it set into the lammers quick as I can so I can get to my playing quickly. So I've got my 10 shots ready to go so that every time a new shooter comes out, I can jump out there and ask for 85 inside, right? I can be ready for that. And that's a big part of the way that you have to play is not thinking about it. I think I made the title of this video, Practice Till You Can't Get It Wrong, right? And I think that's the thing that I talk about with my baseball players when I coach is you can practice until you get it right. That's the first part of it. And I think everybody does this. You practice, practice, practice. Oh, I got it figured out now. And then you stop practicing. That's practicing until you get it right. I would say you should practice till you can't get it wrong. And so when I work the rail, I actually practice getting money into the rail and working these things quickly so I can get to work. Now, that's the 8 shots that I'm taking here across the inside. That's the 8 shots to get that to work for me. Okay, and what I'm going to do here today is we'll talk about the strategy up top. And again, that's probably a thing for tonight as well, but what is the goal with that top section? That's number 1. The second thing we're going to do today in the rack is work in the field. So how does the field work? Today the field's going to do this. And I did this in Reno and actually, or Reno, in Vegas, and it worked pretty good for me. The field parlay. If I'm rolling field numbers, this tends to work out pretty good. And what it is you go in with 1 unit. We're going to go with a $10 table today. So 1 unit, if you lose it, you're going to bet 2 units. And if you lose that, I'll put them up here, you're going to go with 3 units. If you lose that, you get the picture. We're going to go to 4 units, 3, 4. If we lose that, we go to our max, which is 5 units. We'll go up to 5 units. And what you're looking for is a parlay. You can lose up to 5 times. If you win at any level, you parlay your win. If you win the parlay, you bring it all back, you start back over at 1. So simple field parlay. And what this costs is $50, $90, $150 to do it once, to get through that progression once. I'm gonna do this twice. So I'm gonna need $300 to get this into my rack twice. This will not require separators. Okay, I'm gonna get a bunch more reds here. Actually, what I'll do is I'll do quarters. I'll do 115 quarters behind that. As I need reds, I'll cash in and grab them out of the bank here. So we're gonna run 2 strategies at once. It looks like an iron cross when it's out there. When we say dice are out, and here's the first roll. Of course, it's a 7 on the come out roll. Where's my back walleye? You'll notice that I'm very bouncy. There's 2 7s in a row on the come out. That's awesome. All right, there's a point. Our first point is gonna be 5. So once the point's established, I have 2 jobs, right? One is, you'll watch what I do here. I'm gonna throw this out and ask for 85 inside from the 5 to the 8. Our dealers will happily get us set up. And I put 2 units, 1 unit, 1 betting unit into the field, and immediately I get my next one ready. So the way that I practice this is I get my next shot, my next money ready in case it goes out there. So I'm ready to go. I'm also ready to say what I want to say when these things come out. So you got to make sure that as you're practicing here at home, on your home setup, or if you're using a computer, whatever you're using, even though you're using, let's say, a phone app like Awcraps or a computer like WinCraps, whatever it is that you're using, you got to use your words, because you're going to be at the casino using your words with the dealers, and it's important to say it. When I was playing in Vegas with Mike last week, I joked with him and I'm like, I keep it straight in my head because I actually like play my show in my head as I'm at the tables. And to myself, I'm dictating what I would say if I was filming myself. And I think that's the way that I get, practice here for the tables too. I see another comment came, this is great. Wasted Aces says he's got his table set up. That's awesome. Getting your table set up is so cool. And I tell you, having a home table has changed everything. I used to practice with apps for years. This has just changed kind of the way that I approach all of it. So what I'll do here is I'll also get my reds set up. I'm going to break them into $25 chunks here, not for anything other than to get a quick visual on where we are. Or I'll even separate the reds and the greens a little bit. Although the greens are not as important. I'm missing one actually, because they're going to get changed anyway, but I do like to get that little visual where I am. So what we'll do here, we have a point of 5, and I'll actually go ahead and log this in. I'll start using the tracker here because today, as part of practice today, I'm going to roll and actually try. So I'm going to grab my my dice. I'm going to run to the back wall here, and we're going to run. I'm going to log out those 2 come out 7s and the come out 5 here. And we'll just take, a couple of shooters worth here, and we'll just roll this out. I'll throw a couple of, I'm working on this toss today, just so you guys have an idea here. I'm working on regular. So here's my hard way set with the 2s and the 5s. What I'm going to do is I'm going to flip up to a 6 and turn it towards me. So it's a 4-6 on top and it's a 2-3 in front. Not for anything. I just feel like that set's it's been working for me, quote unquote. We'll see. Plan today, again, the field growth parlay, the field ladder, whatever you want to call it. It's really loosely based on the 4 and 10 ladder that Waylon always talks about, but I'm doing it in the field here. For the inside numbers, I'm going to do what I just showed you. I'm going to go ahead and spread out right away. So I'm going to grab the 4 and 10 with the first hit. Then I'm going to up the 5 and grab the 9 with the second hit. Raise up the 6 and 8 with the third hit. Fourth hit, I'm going to go all the way down to 64 across. And you'll see how that works out. I will spread it out here. If I can get that far, if I can get 4 shots in, I'll show you how that spreads out and how it looks. And again, this is going to be kind of a dual strategy as I go here. The table surface, by the way, I left it at cork. So I'm back now to playing on a cork tabletop, which you'll see is not helpful in terms of bounce. So here I got a 1, 2, 3. And what happens here is we're going to get paid in the field. And every field win becomes parlayed. If I lose that, my next field is 2 units, so it's 20 bucks. So if I lose it, I go with 20 and we keep trying that. If I win it, we'll rack the difference there. So let's go ahead and mark that 3 up. And the one good thing about the Iron Cross, if there is a good thing about it, is that you do get paid a lot. You're in action, except for the 7, you're getting something. And I've always felt like the Iron Cross is a slow bleed, but the way I'm playing it here, treating the box numbers, and there's the dice. That was actually a pretty good shot right there. Treating the box numbers and the field as 2 separate things, I think is a winning combination if you can get the rolls. Now, of course, we didn't get a roll there. We got a 7. So we have the 2 shaker baker, Brian. We get 2 rolls that are non-productive and a 7, which kind of bites. So this comes out. So the field, after the next come out, will be that 20 bucks. We're going to lose that. And here's an important piece. When you're playing at your home table, you've got to do this. You've got to take your losses. Take them off the table, reset your puck, and come out blank. It would have been easy to leave the bets out there and just say, okay, here's my next shot, and drop it into the bank and leave my bets up for ease and speed. That's actually hurting you. I want you to feel the money leaving your rack. You've got to feel the loss in real time. If you don't feel the loss from your rack, you're not getting, oh God, that was an awful throw. You're not getting the benefit of your strategy. You're not getting the benefit of actually seeing if your strategy works or not. You have to see this diminish as it would in real time. So again, 85 inside, please, including. We'll do this, and we'll go 20 into the field, and we're going to hope that field gets us 2 in a row. It's all we need is 2 in a row in the field at any time. Let's go log that 5. Whoops. That's a 5, not a 6. There we go. And here we go. Dice set. Dice are out. Man, this cork is so hard to land on. Okay, we've got a 9, 5, 4, 9. So no effect up top. The field wins 20, and you would stack it. I'm going to put it side by side. Okay, here's my next shot to the field, right? There's going to be 6 chips goes out next. If this loses, our last bet was 3 units. Now we're going to be, or 2 units. Now we're going to be at 3 units. So 6 chips is on deck in case that loses. And again, I'm ready to go with it each time. So let's log that 9. And the dice are going to be out. Whew. So hard to get them to stop. Okay, that's a 5. So we're going to get paid here. I'll pay 35 bucks in reds. There's 35. We're going to go ahead and grab $15 4 and a $15 10 with it. The puck will be off. We're going to lose our field bet, which means next time out is 3 units, and we rack up a nickel. I'm going to separate the wins just so you can, just for visual here. The place bet wins will be up here next to the place bets. The field wins I'll put over here on the left-hand side. Maybe we'll get them to merge, but in practice session like this, what I'm trying to do here is see which strategy actually works better. And if I combine the wins in my rack, I'm not going to really know until after I reviewed the video how I did. So I'm going to keep the wins and losses here in 2 separate sections of my rack. At the casino, I may or may not do that. Although I do think it's important to see if one strategy is kind of getting itself crushed or not. So here we go again. We'll come out. This is shooter, same shooter. Here we go. Little sideways roll there, but we're again on that 5. Is that 3 5s in a row? Something like that. Okay, back to the 5. We're back out here now with 3 units. So 30 bucks. Let's mark the 5 up. We'll get them reset. Better, probably called a no roll because that one didn't hit the back wall, but we'll go ahead because the other one did hit the wall. So we'll call it good. That's a 4-2-6. Now I've already, if you're following along here with the pineapple press part, I've captured the 4 and 10. Now I'm going to get paid on the 6. That'll get paid 35 bucks. So I'm going to pay it like so, 25, 35. What we're going to do is grab the 9, rack the 2. So in pineapple press style, from the outside in, I'm going this time. So we've got the 10, the 5, and the 9. The next box number hit goes to the 6 and the 8. And then we'll pull back on the 4th hit. Now here we've lost 30. I wasn't ready for the last. We're going to go to, there's 40. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4 units. And again, I'll get my 50 ready for the next time here. There is 50 bucks ready for the next field loss if it happens. Let's log that 6. And practicing this way takes a little while, right? It takes some time to go through it, but I think the mechanics of all this are important. And this actually probably takes as long as it does at a casino anyway. So here we go again, dice are out. Wow, see that thing spinning? Good gravy. There's a 3, 2, 5, okay? So we're gonna get burned here in the field for 40. Puck's gonna come off, the 5 is gonna pay 35. I will pay that in reds. There's 30. 30, actually I gotta pay another one. We'll pay with 10 whites here. There's 35, so there's 25, 35. We're gonna get the 6 and the 8 each up. To $48 and rack the difference. So they're pressed up to 48. They'll pay 54 each. The 5 and 9 at 25 are going to pay 35. The 4 and 10 will pay 30. The next inside hit, we pull everything down and we'll go to 64 across and we'll see how we land. Meanwhile, we're coming out to a new shot here. Fields will be off during the come out rolls. There's a hard 8, 4, 4, hard 8. Let's mark that up real quick. There's the 8. Actually, we have to log the 5 first. Log the 5, then log the 8. There we go. Okay, 50 into the field. Now I'm fighting myself a little bit here. I'd love to have a field win. That'd be great. We can get that parlay to work. But I'd also love to have that inside number hit too. Here we go. Oh man, ugly shot, but it's a 5. So we will lose 50 here in the field, which is a bummer. That field parlay today with this set and the way I'm throwing, not working out so well, but that's fine. We'll adjust to that in a second. Here, the 5 is gonna pay 25, 35. Now we've done the press. The pineapple press is complete. We've gone 10 and 4. We got the 5 and the 6 layered up. The 6 and 8 got layered up. On the money shot right here, that was the money shot. We hit it. We hit our 4th inside number before 7. I'm pulling all that down. We're gonna go 64 across. Okay, let's pull everything down. Ask for 64 across. And it takes the dealers a minute to do it. And I want you to see how it looks too. So we're gonna go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 64 across. If you look at what's on the table here, we started that sequence with 85 bucks. Right, there's the 85 bucks. We start with the 5, the 6, and the 8. Our profit from the top section is 52 bucks. So what I do here is this. I will get that shooter back into the rack where it belongs. I'll take the winnings, put them back here in the front side of the rack, and now we know that this strategy has paid off at least once, and now it's here set to press. Now, as G-Dub would say, now we press to the speakers because we've already made our money back plus a profit from the initial 3 bets. I've turned the iron cross into 64 across. So I'm no longer iron crossing up here. That is not a thing. Now down here, we're back in action again. So I've got to go get the field bet reset here. So I'm going to go ahead and grab quarters. I'll put the 50 bucks out there. I need quarters, or nickels rather, because that bet is now 60. And our next bet is going to be, if you're doing the math, 70. So we'll get that set 25, 50, 70. So we have really one crack at this field left. The field parlay burns through 300 bucks. It wasn't worth it, but it was worth 300 bucks to give it the shot here. So let's go ahead and log that 5 as a roll. and we'll keep shooting here. Let's see if we can get that 64 across to make us more money. And again, as you're practicing here, I want you to make sure that you remember and know what is your next press. How are you going to approach it? I think I got a 7 there, right? 5, 2, 7. Of course, as I'm talking about the next press move, we 7 out. Perfect time for that to happen, right? It happened right after the regression. That's great. This kind of sucks, right? The field parlay today is doing 0 for us. And in fact, we talked a lot about table trends on this show. And what are we learning here about our field press, about our field parlay today? I've only thrown like 2 field numbers the entire day. So the trend, or at the very least, what you can say is the way that I'm throwing today is not conducive to field. I'm not throwing field numbers. This feels like it's a wasted effort, but that's okay. We're testing it out, right? This is why you practice. You don't abandon it in practice. You're going to test and see, is this viable or not? So here we go again. We'll do one more shooter and then we'll call it for time. Let's get a number here. Oh, there's a field number, of course, aces. And 8. So the new point's going to be 8. I'll get those logged in the computer in a minute. So again, 85 inside. And your field's going to be, this will be our last field. This is going to be $70. We're out of field money. So once this goes away, we're done. And we're going to be just on the inside now. So the iron cross will go bye-bye if we don't hit field numbers here. Let's log out that the aces that we got, followed by the heart 8. Let's get some numbers here, shall we? Looks like a hard 6 to me. That's a hard 6. That's great. So again, that's going to pay 35, and I'll pay it in reds. We'll grab the 4 and the 10. We're going to go from the outside in. I'll log that in. That takes away our last field money. So the field parlay today burned us for $300. We're done with the field. I have $20 left in the field money. That strategy was awful today. If you're playing the iron cross anyway, the normal way, it would have been just as awful. Not one, I think we had 1 field hit the entire session, which is whatever. We're going to get out of it. That was a better throw there. And of course, it's a 9. Let's log that in. Actually, we had the 6 too. We had the hard 6. And then we had the 9. But yes, I'm going to abandon the field because, again, I had money set aside for that strategy. And once that money's burned, I'm not going in for more. There's a 6. 5, 1, 6. That pays 35. 25, 35. We'll grab the 9 with it. We'll rack the 10. Let's log that in. All right, here we go. Dice are out. Oh, that was a bad throw. That slipped out of my fingers. That was a 5. 4, 1, 5. Again, it's going to be $35. I will pay that in reds. So we're going to get paid 25 in red. I'm going to get paid 10 in white. Because we're going to go ahead and take these. I'll take a nickel out of here. We're going to go 18 up on each, the 6 and the 8. Take them both to 48. So they'll pay 54. And now it's money shot time. Let's log that 5. What's that, a 7 out? That's a bummer. 1 shot too soon. We couldn't get our money shot in there. It's too bad. So we lose. And again, what I'll do is I'll take this down. Here we go. That's kind of a bummer. I would have liked to have had 1 more consecutive win there, but that will happen, of course. And again, take the money away for sure. And now we'll look at our rack and see where we ended up here real quick. I'm going to get the rack reset as best I can and see a quick evaluation of those 2 strategies. The whites, I've got enough whites for 2 reds. I've got enough reds for 1 more green. and that will make my rack look like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we ended up losing $80 on this track because we lost twice. It makes sense. We lost the first one, we lost. We made good on the second one, pretty good actually, and lost on the third one. So we lost two $85 shots, but we won on that middle shot. So our net loss is a little bit less than one total shot. That's what I expect to see in a 3-shot deal like that. That's what, about where you're going to end up with. That's totally fine. Let's go back to the screen here. We'll talk a little bit in person. Come on. There we go. All right. So all in all, right, that strategy, again, today's not about the strategy, right? Today's about how I practice the strategy. And I want you to kind of remember that, like, some of these episodes that I do, like next week, week after, we're going to talk about how to play strategies and how to build them out. Today, it's not about does that strategy work or not. Today's about how do I set the rack up to play the strategy? How do I know what my next press move is? I've got it ready, right? When that first number hits, when I got the 5, 6, and 8 pressed, I know my first words out of my mouth are $15, 5, and 9, or $15, 4, and 10. That's the first words out of my mouth. On the second hit, I'm saying, give me a $25, 9. And I know what's coming back to my rack with each one, right? The first time we grab 5, the second time you grab back 10. So you know what's coming to your rack and what's going out. You have to have that here. You got to have it at the tip of your tongue and know what's coming to be like pro level at that. The same with the field. Having the field bet, the next one set up in front of me so I can just drop it right out there. I know where I am in the progression at all times. I never forget where I am. You've got to be practiced to the point where you can just go out there and do it on rote. And why is that important to do on a rote? I think the most important reason is what I always say. It's absolutely because craps is a social game. I want to be out there talking to people. I want to look at people's bets and give them a bunch of shit when they lose. I want to have a good time, right? And if you're thinking about math and you're forgetting where you are, you don't have that luxury, right? You're thinking too much and the game becomes less fun. So practice so you can't get it wrong, because that makes the game a little bit more fun. So I'm going to put some comments up here towards the end here. So PJ, funny how my bad throws get me good results and a good throw gives me always, dude, always that happens to me. What's funny is because when you're throwing the dice, and I'm not sure, PJ, if you've ever tried to do dice control, and everybody who has tried it will tell you the same thing. When you throw the dice, right, there's a feel to them. When they leave your fingers, you know they rolled off, and it feels like perfect out of your hands. Like, oh, that just felt like the perfect curveball, right? I know where that thing's going to snap to, and you just know. And it turns into a 7. A lot of times, because the velocity is wrong or whatever else, when it slips out of your hand and you've thrown a baseball and you've done the thing where you sky it over to the right or you get the yips, oh God, that felt like shit. That was a terrible throw. And sometimes it lands on a 5 for you. It's dice, right? They're going to be randomized by that back wall no matter what. Anyway, Gary 911 is saying 1 easy bet, 2 you staying on the table and you see a string of 13 field numbers, right? That happens, right? That has happened to me where I've gotten 13 or 12 field numbers in a row, and that parlay just doubles your bankroll and you're out of there in 10 minutes. Totally happens. Today, not that day. Today was not the day for the field. So we ended up losing money, but it's okay. Again, in practice, it's fake money. And this is where you work it out in your brain. Like, does that possibly work? And the question that I've got when I practice like this is does playing the box numbers and the field as 2 separate entities, right? Does it work? Or is the Iron Cross what it is? Is it just you're going to use one to feed the other and that's the way to play it? My brain tells me that's not the way to play it. My brain tells me that the field can win on its own. And I've done the field parlay by itself and it's won. My brain tells me that the box numbers win on their own. What you see in reality is exactly this here. Brian, I'll put your comment up here. What you see in the reality is this. And I think this is a perfect example now that I think about it. Either the box numbers are winning or the field is winning. Very rarely do you have this kind of bounce back and forth thing. Somebody's in a groove, they're whacking the field, horn numbers all day long, or they're hitting the box numbers all day long. And you very rarely see the back and forth where both can work at the same time. That's why the Iron Cross is a bleed, because you win one or the other, almost never both. I'm going to make it work. I'm going to make this thing, I'm going to keep on hitting this thing for sure here. And Ross is saying he likes to feel probably when a DI shooter tends to hit them, for sure. If you get a set that works for you and you can actually do a little bit of some measure of like predictable control, at least in a pocket, you can make a bunch of money in the field. The field's not a bad bet if they're hitting, for sure. So anyway, Zoff, you said you thought the field was going to reset at 50. You're right. You see, thanks for calling me out there. I should have reset it back to $10 after that $50 loss. I screwed that up. That's definitely a good catch on your part. Thanks for that. I should have reset back to 50, and I would have had 4 more shots at it. I didn't actually hit any more other field numbers anyway. I would have lost it all. Hey, Buckeyes here. Cool, man. Good to see you. Yeah. Anyway, that's my today's lesson. I really wanted to talk about practicing, and the main takeaways I hope you get from today are why we practice. All right, I practice so I can't get it wrong. I practice, and Skill and Luck is here, by the way. I'm gonna put you up here. Skill, I got to call you out for something because I practice, and you all should notice when I go to work here, I work on even numbers. Right, I get my bets to 30, to 60, to 90, to 105, to whatever. I know what I'm betting because I don't do internal math well. PJ's really good at saying to me, "Hey, John, if you have a $46 lay, that's the max. That's the max you can get without hitting a new vig, a new dollar vig." Right? That's amazing. Skill and Luck, Dylan. You've got this amazing way of doing math where you're betting these really specific amounts that, again, avoid vig, avoid buy payouts, and also get the right numbers on the pays. I don't do that because I can't do the math in my head that fast. But the way that you play, Skill, if you have that math down, you have to practice and know, I'm going out with a $48 bet. It's going to pay 54. My next press is going to be to 90. I'm going to get back $18. You have to know those numbers like by rote. And if Skill, Dylan, if you practice that, especially while you're driving, if you're just doing the math while you're going, that makes you a machine at the table and you don't make a mistake. Because making a mistake with your next press move, making a mistake with your next parlay can be life or death in some of these strategies. So you got to make sure you know where you are. And I think practicing it here is a big piece of it. And having your words down. What are you going to say to the dealers? Have that in your head. Say it in your head on the next move. If the 6 hits, I'm going to say, give me a $15 5 and 9, right? When I coach baseball, I tell my players, on every ball hit, you all have a job to do. And you say to yourself, if it's hit to me, here's what I'm going to do. If it's hit to the shortstop, here's what I'm going to do. If it's hit to right field, here's what I do. Craps is the same thing. When the 5 hits, here's what I do. When the field hits, here's what I do. You've got to know what's going on. Bird Dog, you coach football, I believe, right? Is that you that coaches football? That's the thing, right? When you tell your kids in response to a thing, here's your move. You got to do it here at the table, and you got to have it down. You got to have that like 100% in memory. You cannot forget what you're doing, and you got to have it right there. It makes the game go faster, and you can just enjoy the table. If you're not thinking about this, you can enjoy that. And I think that's the beauty of the game. So, with that said, everybody, thanks for all the likes. Duracell keeping track for me. I love it. Thanks for joining live. I know some of you don't always get to come to the live. I see Ed Robinson is here, dude. Thanks for showing up. We have to talk about the fundraiser still. We have to talk about getting you on here at some point. A lot of things happening here. So thanks for joining. Share the channel. Let people know what we're doing. Let everybody know about the fundraiser. For sure. The fundraiser is going to be a big deal. Start spreading the word. I want to blow this thing up. Again, my goal for the fundraiser is meager. I'd like to raise $5,000. I'd like to raise enough money to pay one family's bills for a month. That's the goal. One family, one veteran family, one family touched by gambling addiction. I want to pay somebody's bills a month, let them get back on their feet. We can do it, right? I'm going to give up 24 hours of my life straight to do this. I need you all to bring me ideas on things you want to see done during that time. I want you to bring friends, family, and wallets to that thing, and let's start spreading the word. Let's get this thing done. So with that said, thanks everybody for your support. Love y'all. Keep the comments coming. Keep the ideas coming. Keep the strategies coming to me. And that's it. God bless y'all. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good Wednesday.